So, Samuel Beckett was an Irish playwright who wrote mostly in French. Um, he was the greatest absurdist playwright. Absurdism is a term being derived from the philosophy of mainly Albert Camus, who was a French Algerian philosopher and wrote a book entitled The Myth of Sisyphus. Now, those who are familiar with the myth of Sisyphus know it is about a man who is condemned to roll a stone up a hill each day, and at night it falls back down, and he is condemned to do this for eternity. And what Camus says is that the only way to fight against this punishment is to take enjoyment in the futility of the task. And that is essentially the core of absurdism, that within the futility of life, one can find humor and one can find actual enjoyment. It is not merely nihilism, which says that life has no meaning, but nihilism with a twist. And Samuel Beckett, of course, was one of the greatest absurdist playwrights. It says here in this Encyclopedia Britannica article that in the French tradition, humor is usually a product of people trying to pursue trivial sexual gratification. And Beckett definitely exemplifies this, except he doesn't use sexual gratification all the time. Other trivialities he uses. I remember a portion from Waiting for Godot, which is one of the characters in the stream of conscious dialogue that we're having suggests that the other character, to entertain himself, hang himself by the tree, and the other character objects because he might have an erection, which I thought is very funny because it gets to the core of the human struggle. That is, that we are trying to find meaning in a thing that is essentially meaningless. I believe that Samuel Beckett and absurdism in general is mentioned in the clowning unit, primarily, superficially, because clowning is funny. Absurdism is meant to be funny, although on a deeper level. But more profoundly, we can see that both of them are grappling with the idea of futility. In absurdism, futility is laughed at, and in clowning, futility is celebrated, almost in a sense. You know, a character doing a mindless task, like beating a stick against a tree, which a clown might very possibly do, is celebrating the futility that is that action. A futility which is representative of the general futility of life. And it's not to be that this futility is a depressing thing, but rather it is a joyful thing, that it liberates us from a sense that there is purpose. Because once someone finds purpose in his life, he is so constrained to a path. Let us take, for example, a person who finds his purpose in life is to become a doctor. How many options does that person have? Well, he'll have to go to med school, he'll have to pass his MCAT, he'll have to pass his board exams, he'll have to start in practice, he'll have to do residency. His entire life is constrained by the purpose of becoming a doctor. But evaluate the person who has no purpose in life. He is completely free to do anything he wants. And it is this freedom that the futility of life creates, which is what is celebrated by a clown, and in many ways celebrated by Samuel Beckett and the absurdist movement. The only difference I could see between Samuel Beckett and the clown is that Samuel Beckett presents his humor as something that is not immediately supposed to be funny. It is my conception that not all humor is supposed to be funny. In fact, there are many parts of Godot, of Waiting for Godot, which are just utterly mind-numbing, and you just sit there and watch, and you're bored out of your mind, because they're just talking. There's no objective, there's no purpose, they're just rambling on, and on, and on, and it doesn't stop. But that's funny. It's funny because you're still watching it. And it's funny because it gets to the core of the futility of life. On the other hand, clowning has the direct purpose of being funny. At least in most cases. There are tragic clowns. There are more serious clowns. Everybody's clown is different. But when one assesses clowning in general, we can generally see that clowns are funny. Some people think clowns are terrifying. I understand that, because they have the white makeup and the red nose. And who actually looks like that in real life? But regardless, that's a tangent. But even at a tragic clown, you could laugh, because he is exploiting the same function that Beckett is exploiting, that being futility of human existence. Anyway, that, in my opinion, is why Samuel Beckett is discussed in a clowning unit.